It's too late. It is too late. Right. Okay. I think we are on YouTube. Willow, are you good to check YouTube for us, please, mate? Have we pinged the channel on Discord? Nice one. Oh, it's good that it's not, other people are organised. Awesome. Great turnout. Thanks, everyone, for turning up. So, welcome, Svelte Society. And my mouse. Hey, okay, right. Thanks for everyone online. We've got a grand total of 12 people watching. Wow, okay, thank you. So, welcome to Foolproof. It's the first time we've been here. So, we'll give thanks to Aris, who's going to come speak shortly. But we've got to do some housekeeping. If you haven't tried to find the toilet just yet, down the corridor on the left, there's a set of 3 cards. Pick up a card, and you can tap yourself in and out, go through the door directly on the left. Put the card back after you've finished with it. Thank you. So, because this is a Svelte Society event, we have a code of conduct, and you should have all have read it, and you are, by mere effect of being here, implicitly agreeing to the terms of the contract. So take a look at it there if you haven't already, but everyone should have. Essentially, don't be a dick, and then we're good. I can see Pablo laughing. That's the truth, though, right? Okay. Pardon?
Yeah, if you're physically present to agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Watching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to enforce that. I'm not the police of the internet. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Right. So we are a self-funded community event. People often ask us, how do we contribute to pizzas and food? This is here. Oh, and also Anthony's made this very nice little box here.
Checks.
And you can fax them over to us as well. But yeah, use that QR code if you would like to donate. Thank you. One other thing I'd like to mention is there's a hackathon on at the moment, which Willow and Brady spent a long time on this very nice site. But this is a static slide, so you can actually see the cool animation on the Svelte logo here. So there's some good prizes in there. £2,500 first prize. £3,000.
There's 3 categories, 15,000
£15,000 across 3 categories.
What's the URL, by the way?
Hack.sveltesociety.net.
There we go. It's quite so, isn't it?
It's almost like I've prepared in advance, isn't it? Cool. Okay. Where are we now? So, Foolproof. So, Foolproof have kindly hosted us here today, and we've got Aris to come and say a couple of words to say thank you. And this is also the super special surprise announcement we have in partnership with CityJS. So I'm going to get Willow, have you got that microphone?
I can speak like here, like next to you.
You can come here. Come here.
Okay.
Willow's just chucking the microphone.
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. I don't have to hack you.
I don't mind hugging, it's fine. I'm totally
It's
fine
free. Okay, so Foolproof is a design agency. It's part of a bigger company called Zensar. We have there's another company called Indigo Slate. But the mother company is Zensar. And we do design work, we do development, we do everything. There is also someone else here, Mo.
Hey, Mo.
That he helps me today because I cannot do it all by myself. And yeah, we do development. We haven't tried Svelte yet. I think you tried it, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but me, I have been contributing with great speakers, right? So yeah, So yeah, that's us. If your company is looking for great designers and developers, come and talk to us. You know, we do more meetups after, but we do a lot of meetups, and you know, there is a bit of a drain at the moment for companies hosting meetups because not a lot of companies are hiring. And I'm happy that what happened there?
It doesn't.
It's shaking.
It's trying.
It's trying.
Okay,
It's okay.
keep it there.
It's-
Okay.
I'm sorry. for
This is like
everyone
the car,
online.
the ones they have on the car, like
They'll love it like the Churchill one.
Right, we're
yeah,
gonna,
the Churchill camera.
we're gonna have to. Sorry,
Hold
everyone.
it.
Sorry, YouTube.
So
I'm gonna
yeah,
hold it.
Just had a bit of
I
a
can hold it
seizure.
and they can do it like
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Aris, go on.
Don't worry.
this.
So yeah, okay, it's steady now.
Sorry.
So yes, so yeah, that's what we do.
Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So at the same time, I'm organizing CityJS. I'm the founder and organizer of this amazing conference, and we have a special announcement to make today. So can I move the slide? So the conference on the 25th of April 25. And guess who's going to come? Who knows who's going to come?
You.
So our keynote speaker for this conference is Rich Harris. Thanks to Scott. So it's going to be the first time he comes to our conference. We have been trying for a long time, but thanks to Scott, he's going to come and speak at our conference. So next slide. I have a 25% off from our early birds for the people that are in this room. So yes, make sure you are there. It's going to be another amazing event. We had really big names: Kent Dodds, Kyle Simpson, and now we're going to have Rich Harris, which is amazing. Thanks to this man.
Awesome. Okay.
But we probably plan other events as well, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. And there might be more Svelte core people coming.
Maybe. I can see the boss is on the line, so maybe. Love you, Kev.
Thank you.
Woo! Cool. Okay, so thank you, Aris, and I'm super stoked we're going to be seeing Rich in the new year. Well, like midweek, first quarter. When's April? First quarter, whatever. Next year. Super excited. Yeah, and Rich is a great speaker, so I love listening to him talk about stuff. Cool. So we've got two talks. We've got Paolo, who's going to be doing a remote talk for us. Paolo is a new Svelte contributor. He's one of the core team, and he's been doing some awesome stuff. He spoke at Svelte Society London at least twice now, I think. So this is going to be his third time. So you see my mouse randomly going about on the other screen. So what I'm going to do is add Paolo to the stream. And I think I've got a mute. Can it? Why can't I see Paolo? Oh, because I'm not doing this thing. Right, okay.
Hey.
Hey. Right. Awesome. How you doing, man?
Good, good.
Cool. Right. Okay. So I am going to share your screen and let you get started. Is there anything else we need to go over before you start?
No, I think we can go.
Awesome. I'm going to share your screen. Everyone, please welcome Paolo, and we're starting.
Okay, so welcome everyone to my talk. Like it's called, as you might see, like heard your async task. So before we begin, let's have a small presentation. Who am I? I am Paolo Ricciuti. I come from Campobasso, Italy, which is the land of pizza, but I'm currently on diet, so I can't actually eat it, unfortunately. You can find me on Twitter as Paolo Ricciuti. You can find me on GitHub as Paolo Ricciuti. I'm a Svelte ambassador, which means that I'm one of those people that won't shut up about Svelte. So as you can see, like I have my coasters, I have my thing, like I have Svelte all over the place. And my wife is kind of pissed at me because I always talk about Svelte. I recently joined as a maintainer in the core team, which it's definitely not feeding my imposter syndrome at all. I'm generally a huge nerd, and I work as a senior software engineer at Main Matter, which is super cool because I get to work with Svelte, but I also get to do something else that I like, which is teach Svelte. So I'm here to present you something that we work on with Main Matter. We do conferences, like I will go do a workshop at the Way Web in Malaga soon. So if you are around, like, feel free to drop by. And the best thing is that, like, we do what's called team augmentation, which means that even when we are working with some company, we actually teach Svelte in the process, which is super cool and super fortunate. And another thing that we love to do is giving back to the ecosystem that we are in. So since we are pretty deep into Svelte, we love to work on the ecosystem for Svelte. And that's why I'm here today. So I'm going to present you something that is going to solve a problem that most developer will need to solve sooner or later. And no, is not the next meeting that should have been an email. It's something much, much scarier, because what I'm here to help you with is asynchronous code, which is something that is very, very scary. So first thing first, let's try to think about, like, what even is asynchronous code. So let's start with some thesaurus stuff. So asynchronous means not existing or occurring at the same time, which is also kind of funny because in JavaScript is kind of backward. Why? Because if you have this example here, for example, in synchronous code, you have one line of code, and one line of code goes after the other and after the other. And even if you are inside a function and you hit some line which is slower, you have no way than waiting for the whole line to finish until the next line comes. And this is because JavaScript is single-threaded, like there is all the event loop. And so if you have something synchronous, it will be there until like it finish. And with asynchronous code instead, which again should be like not in the same place, we actually get two lines of code in the same place, kinda, because like with asynchronous code, you enter in a function, and if you are using async code, the rest of the code can continue to work, and then inside the function, the slow statement will finish and it will continue to go ahead. So generally, like, asynchronous stuff is for stuff that will take time. So a fetch call or reading a file, for example. So let's actually see an example in Node about this. So this is how you read a file in Node. So you can import fs from Node.fs, and you can see that, like, in this case, we have sync method. So it's suffixed with the sync method. And this is because this method is sync. So this means that what we will do is that, like, the line by line, you will hit the read file sync, and the program will be stuck there until my file.txt is not completely read. And I mean, my file.txt, like, is generally like a 10 gigabyte file. So, like, this will take time. So this means that it will take all the time that it needs to read the whole file. And after that, you will log data if it throws an error. So, for example, if there's no file there, it will throw, and it will catch in the try catch here. And then after that, you can console log data. So this is not the ideal if you need to read a bigger file, because again, your program will be stuck there. Like, so let's say that this is a web server, for example. You can't really, like, serve other requests if you are using all synchronous code. So how to fix this? Well, with callbacks. So if you want, you can use the read file instead of read file sync, and instead of getting the result back from a function, you are just basically registering a callback. So you register this callback here, and this means that like the program, like Node, C++, that is actually multi-threaded, will go ahead, read the file, and when the file has finished reading, it will call back your function with an error, if there is an error, or the data. So in this case, you can just check if there is an error. If there's no error, you can log the data. But even with this very simple code, there is a bug here. And that's why asynchronous code is very much scary for developers, is because like this is just registering the callback. It's not waiting for the callback to respond, because otherwise it will be a synchronous file. So this got data will actually log before the console log data or the console log error. So this is actually, like, even in this very simple code, there is a problem. And let's say that instead you want to have a more complex application. So let's say, for example, that you want to read this name.txt file, and inside this name.txt, there will be the name of a customer. So you need the name of a customer to read the profile of that customer to then read a specific file, right? So it's something that can happen. So you need to read name.txt, and then you have a callback. So how can you use a name inside another read file? Well, you need to nest callback. So you can add a new callback inside the callback. So by reading name.txt, then you get the file to read. And then after that, you can actually get another callback where you actually get the file and you can log it out. So this is pretty bad. And if you leave inside the era, this is known as callback hell. So before, we had basically, this was the only way to deal with asynchronous code with callbacks. So what we got is callback hell. And the reason why it's called callback hell is because just like in Dante Inferno, you go down and down and down, and it's like a funnel. And obviously, like the more to the bottom you go, the closer to Satan you are. And so, but in ES5, which I think it was in 2015, we got something much better. We got promises. So what is a promises? Just like when your project manager is asking you, like, can you ship this feature until Saturday? You are making a new promise, and after you make this new promise, after a week, you can either fulfill that promise. So if you fulfill the promise, this means that like you actually shipped by Saturday, or most likely you will reject that promise and not ship anything. So this is basically how a promise works. So you create a new promise, and then you get this to function, fulfill or reject, that you can call to actually return back the value of the thing. So, and like syntax wise, this is how it works. So as we see, like you can resolve with the number 21, for example, and to attach a callback to the promise, you can use the .then method. So by calling .then, you can add a callback to the promise that will be called back when the promise actually resolves. But the nice thing about this is that if you return something from the callback, the .then is actually a new promise. So you can attach another .then after this, which is the updated value. So in this case, you're getting the value. In this case, you're getting double the value. Then you are to string it, and you can go ahead and like add as many .then as you want. And obviously, like to deal with errors, you have the .catch. So everything that you catch, like this .catch callback will catch everything that can throw up until that point. So, I mean, this is a much nicer syntax. You don't have the callback hell, but it's still not the best thing. And that's why in ES7, if I'm not wrong, we got something that is much, much better. And yes, we are waiting because in ES7 we got something which is called async and await. And how async await works is that you can transform code like this to code like this. So when you do this, this is basically syntactic sugar around this, but this is kind of acting like synchronous code in the sense that if you await a promise, the execution in that context, so the execution can go out of the function that you're running in, but in the function that you're running in, once you call await, the execution will be stopped here until that promise actually resolves, which is nice. So if you want to have the right state, you can just add another variable, and if you want to catch some error, you can actually use try catch just like with synchronous code. But like this is much better syntax wise, but it's still like very complex to deal with asynchronous data because while you are used to the fact that one line always go after the other, once you introduce asynchronous code, you can actually have mixed pot, which is pretty hard to deal with. And this is especially true with reactive frameworks, just like Svelte. Because let's say that you have a code like this, for example, you to do something like as simple as fetching some product, you have to do like you can have your function, fetch products, and you have to create a variable outside. You have to assign that variable. You need to call this function, and then you can show the products. And the reason why is especially true for like frameworks is because like maybe like this once this function is invoked, you will be show something like the products. There's no going back basically. So let's say that we have this code, like as you can see, like if I click fetch here, after a couple of seconds, I get back some product, which is nice, but yeah, I mean, it's not the best user experience because there was no feedback for 2 seconds. So let's add a bit of loading state. So to add a loading state, you have to add a loading function. You have to set the loading to true before fetching. You have to set the loading to true to false after fetching. This is not even handling errors, for example, because if the fetch throws, loading might be stuck forever. So yeah, in reality, I should add a try catch here, but then it will be like too long. If you want to do this properly, it's pretty long. So you can fetch product and then you add this loading icon. So assuming that everything goes correctly, if you fetch, you can actually get the result and a loading state, which is nice. But let's say that you want to give your user the ability to cancel. So as I've said, this is not really something that you can do because once you call a function, there's no way out of this function. Like you need to complete the function. So if you want to have a cancellation, what you can do is adding a canceled, which, by the way, like this is a small Svelte 5 nugget. Like in this case, I don't need state for this because this canceled is never used inside an effect. So it's not used inside a template and it's not used inside an effect. So I don't need state for that. But what I can do is I can start the fetch, and then if it's been canceled, I can reset cancel, I can reset loading, and I don't do any of this. So product is not assigned. Obviously, I also need to do something like this, like on click, on cancel. If loading is true, then cancel is true. Otherwise, I can cancel something that I'm not even that I'm not even sorry. I'm seeing like maybe there's some problem with the camera. I don't know if there's some problem. Please eat me up and stop me. So anyway, we can do like we can fetch and then we can cancel. And I mean, this is not even acting correctly because you can fetch and then you cancel and you still like need to wait for the end of the function to actually cancel. But if you let it go, it will actually go ahead. Yeah, exactly. And like Willow is actually saying like, where's the abort controller? Again, like to do this properly, you need to add a lot of code. Like you should add an abort controller on fetch and do stuff like that to prevent this, and to also be a good internet citizen. So let's say also that you want to maybe stop the user from smashing the fetch button so that it will only start the fetch call after a second the user is not clicking it. So I can smash it directly like this, and after 1 second it's actually going on. So obviously, like you can like import these from Lodash, for example, or have it in your utils function and be done with it. Like you really don't need to write these every time, but still you can see that even just for this very single fetch call, and this is not even including error handling and like like cancellation and stuff like that, you have to write a lot of code. So this is the problem that we actually aim to solve tonight. So without further ado, let's go to present. Okay, it's time. I present you Sheepdog Svelte. So some confetti, which is always good. Thanks, Puru. So Sheepdog Svelte is a library that we worked on at Main Matter to help solve this problem. And we actually like start working on this because they're coming from the Ember ecosystem, and they have Ember concurrency, which is basically helping with all things related concurrency and asynchronous code and stuff like that. So that like now we are working also with Svelte, and they wanted something similar, some experience like that. So we decided to build it. But before we go ahead, I want to show you something because I mean, this is the code that. So before showing you how it works, I want to show you this. This is the code, and this is not the debounce code because that will be very unfair. So this is not the debounce code. This is the normal code to fetch and do something and stuff like that that you should write without Sheepdog Svelte. And this is the code that you should write with Sheepdog Svelte to get the same result. And to show you that it's really the same result, I don't know why. Oh, it's not. What is going on here? I don't know why. It's fine. So to show you that it's really the same product, the same page, this is that page. So as you can see, like I can fetch and I can cancel, and it's even better now because now I get cancellation immediately. And the only thing that you need to do is, let me actually refresh, sorry, because, yeah, that's the whole thing, sorry. So the change that you need to make this work, so like this, and if I leave the fetch go, it will actually fetch the products. So the changes that you would have to make this work is, first thing first, like now products is not a variable anymore, it's a task. So you can create this task, and inside this task, it's a bit different because you don't have to assign to product. You don't have to like keep external variables for loading state and stuff like that. You can just do what the function is meant to do. You fetch products, you JSON stringify it, like you JSONize it, and then you return product. So that's the first change. After that, instead of calling the function, you can call perform on this task. And this will actually call the function under the hood. But this product is also a store. So this store has a bunch of data on it. And by the way, don't worry, a Rune version of it is already in the making. And so for the moment, it's a store. And this store has information about the task. So product, $product dot is running is what you can use to show the loading state. And as you've seen, like if I cancel this task, it immediately switches back to false. And how do I cancel? It's very easy. I can just call cancel all. So if I do products.cancel all, which is another method on the product, it will cancel all the instances. Or if you prefer, you can also keep track of the instances returned from the perform and call instance.cancel on that. And to show the product, I can just do this. So I can do $product.lastSuccessful.value. So what's this last successful? So let's take a look at the TypeScript code for the task that you get back. So you get a bunch of information about the task. You get is running, to know if it's running or not, how many times it's been performed, and then you get a bunch of task instances. So you get the last one, which is like the last one that has been executed, the last canceled one. So if you call it and you cancel it, you can get the last canceled one. You can get the last errored one. So if you know that an error has happened, you can show the error, for example. Or you get the last running, which is the one that is running in this very moment. You also get the last successful, which is what I was using. And it's useful because like this is the last one that actually completed. So it will have the value in it. And so I can show the product. And when I click fetch again, I don't have to like worry about losing my, like if there is an error, I don't need to like figure out how to keep the old value around. It's all inside the store. It's all neatly packed for you. And what's this task instance? Well, you also get a bunch of values inside here, a bunch of derived states. So you get the value itself, if actually completed, and you return something. You get the error, if an error has been thrown there. And then you get a bunch of derived states. Has started, to know if the task even ran, and we will get to why in a moment. Is canceled, if it's being canceled. If it's erroring out, you get is error to true. If it's running, if it's completed and is successful. So let's go for a moment back to this debounce example, because like this was the code to make a debounced version of the fetch example that we saw before, which is, to be fair, a lot of code. It doesn't even fit in the screen. So let's see what it takes to Sheepdog to go from this example, which is not debounced, to the example, to the debounced example. So we've seen that to go from a normal function to a debounced function, I had to add a bunch of code in the original example. This is what it takes to go from a normal example to a debounced example. Like the code barely changed. The only thing that I did is I import timeout from Sheepdog Svelte, which is just a utility. It's your usual sleep function, like new promise, set timeout, and stuff like that. And then I changed the task to task.restart. This is what we call task modifiers, and this is basically instructing the library to know what to do when multiple instances of the task are run. So if I run one and then I run one immediately after, what should the library do? In this case, with the restart function, is just canceling the previous one. So if I await timeout 1 second before doing anything, what I can do is that if I click perform multiple time, I will get that unless you surpassed the 1000 millisecond mark, it will never do the fetch request, which is pretty amazing, right? So now I want to play a game with you. And so I have this QR code here. And if you scan this QR code, it will lead you to a page like this. And you can put your name here and you can log in. And after you log in, you should find yourself with this big red button here. I see that some of you are already clicking it. But why do we need this? Because I want to show you what does these listener does. So whenever you click it, I will get a new event and I will show you on the page. So let's go to the next page. And this is the, you're freezing my computer. Okay, so this is the task modifier, the original task modifier. It's a bunch of circles. So this will have your name on it and how, like when you press this, which is, it's actually crashed. Okay, so let's move to the next task modifier because this will save my computer. Okay, so as you can see, like now we have a less of a party going on. The reason why we do this is because we have this task.enqueue. So by doing this, I'm saying, okay, I allow you a max of 3 events every time. So even if like this foo was sent 28 seconds ago, and so even if you are clicking like crazy right now, every event that you send is actually sent in a queue. And this task modifier is actually like going over the queue. So as soon as the max concurrency is not reached anymore, a new event from the queue is actually removed. So in this case, we have a max concurrency of 3. And so that's why we can see something and not be overwhelmed. Then we have task.drop. So as you can see here, send 2 seconds ago, send 1 second ago, send 1 second ago. Task.drop, what it will do, it will just ignore every event that is not being sent. Like while there is a max concurrency going on, every other event is just dropped. So Hydon just sent an event and every other event that you are sending like crazy are just being discarded. Sorry, guys. And this is useful, for example, if you only care about the last thing. Let's say that you are getting a bunch of events from the scroll bar. I don't know. You don't care about the middle one, right? You just care about like you get a new one and then you like this is to throttle stuff. After drop and enqueue, we get kind of a mix of the two, which is keep latest. So keep latest is just like drop, so it's dropping everything, but is keeping the last one. So this is for when you have a huge amount of events going on, and you only like you don't care about executing the new one that come in when the task is already running, but you care about the very last one. So let's say that you get, I don't know, a bunch of events from a WebSocket to pull something, to fetch something. So what you do is you keep the very latest ones because that's the one that you care about. And then there is restart. This is a bit more funky, so it's a bit more fun. But basically, like what is happening here is that, as we said before, a new one is added, but the moment a new one join, the old one is being removed. So this is all it takes to like do this bunch of crazy stuff that it will take a lot of time. And sorry for the flashing. Let's switch because like this is pretty cool, but there is one more thing. iPhone 3. No, I'm joking. There is one more thing. like I kind of hinted at it before, like during the presentation. I kind of sprinkled around some Q, but like let's say that you have a function like this. You have my task, and you are fetching some product, and the product, after you fetch it, you are doing something very expensive for each product. Let's say that the user wants to stop here. How do you do it? Like we had to add if is cancel to the example without Sheepdog, but I removed that variable with Sheepdog. So how are we doing it? Well, I mean, there is another way to step out of a function. Now, I want to be very clear, like what I'm about to show is a bit gross for some people. So another method to step out of a function looks like this. Now, I know, please don't go away. Everybody panic because generators are kind of scary, but they don't have to. Like generators are not that difficult. So let's take a look at generators. So this is a generator, and a generator it kind of looks like a function, but it has this star here. So this my generator, when you call my generator, is not doing anything. Like it's not executing this stuff. And when is executing this stuff is when you call the next function. So when you call a generator, which can be async, when you call next on the generator, that's where the functions start executing. So we join, we enter into the function, and after a bit, after we do some stuff, we encounter a word that is rarely seen in JavaScript, but is very powerful. It's yield. So yield can only be used inside the generators. And what it does is that is exactly like a wait in an async function. It yields back to the main thread. So if I'm calling the function from here, after the yield, the execution inside the function is stopped, and I return here. So after I call next, I can call next again, unless I reach the end of the function. I can call next again. And this is also suggesting you something, like I'm calling await.next, and then I'm calling .value. Why? Well, because if you do yield 42, for example, what you are doing is you are yielding something back to the main thread. So not only you are giving something back, like the execution back to the main thread, but you can also pass stuff from the function to the main thread. And in this case, we are storing this information on the answer. And what you can do also is, in this case, we are yielding, like we are awaiting next again. So the execution will go up until to this point. And here, I mean, we are returning, we are yielding back a random value, which we are storing here. But that's another interesting, this is another interesting bit. We are assigning the yield to value. What does it mean? Like if you're returning, you cannot assign a return. Well, yield is a bit different because if you want, you can actually pass something to the next function, like this, for example, the answer times random, and this will be passed inside the function. So inside this value, now there is this the answer time random that I actually passed back. And obviously, after that, you can return, and if you return, retval is done. So how does this help? Well, if a certain library, for example, Sheepdog Svelte, could accept a generator instead of an async function, which we can, what we can do is, let's say that you add a yield after every await. So we can accept a generator function, and you add a yield after every await. What this allows us to do is, like, you are fetching, and then you yield, And if you, in the meantime, if you canceled, I cannot give you back the execution time. So this will never run. And the same thing, I can do it after this product. So you just need to add a yield after every await to allow for mid-run cancellation. So it's a promise that can actually stop executing mid-run. And this can even be a bit better, both in syntax and even for like what is actually executed or what is not executed. Because if you just replace await with yield, I can, like, you are passing me a request, and on inside Sheepdog, I can wait for this request, and when it resolves, I can pass back the value to you. So effectively, you are getting something which is very similar. Like, as you can see, like, it's very, very similar. You just need to replace async function with async function generator and await with yield, and you get a very powerful things going on because you get mid-run cancellation for free. There's just one small problem. Like, obviously, in this presentation, there's no language server, and unfortunately, TypeScript does not really work well with yield. Because the moment you have multiple yield in a function, TypeScript just go, okay, I give up, and it returns unknown. So you can specify something like, you can say, hey, I am yielding back a number, for example, or I'm yielding back a number or a string, but the moment there are multiple one, you will get an union. So the experience is not that great. So unfortunately, I think we are stuck with adding yield after the await. Or am I? Dun, dun, dun. Because there is like some way around, maybe. And it all boils down with our favorite superhero, Batman. Vite. Vite is pretty cool, guys. Vite is very cool. Because in Vite, what you have the ability to change the code. So, for example, SvelteKit or Svelte, it's a Vite plugin. You write your Svelte code inside your .svelte file, and the compiler is automatically run during the transformation of the Vite plugin. So, what if we can do something similar to this? We've seen that the transformation is pretty simple. So, what we did is exactly that. So you can just import async transform from Sheepdog, Svelte, Vite, add it to your list of plugins. And what we will do is that we will take your async code that you write like this, and we will convert it to this. So I know this is pretty scary. Like, people touching your code is very scary. But don't be scared, because like, if you take a look, the transformation is pretty simple. Like, it's just going from an async function to an async function star. Also, like, it's going from await to yield. So the transformation is very, very simple. Most importantly, we thought about that. Like, I am pretty scared when people touch my code. So we are only touching the code that is specifically inside your task function. So if you move this function outside of the task function, we will not touch that function, because I don't want to, like, this only work if you pass the function to me, to my task function. So yeah, we don't want to touch your code. We only want to touch the code that you are passing in. So even if you rename the task function, we thought about everything, basically. And by the way, like, I know that it's pretty annoying. Like, you can't, declare your function in another file, but we are actually like working on a solution for that. So I know it's pretty scary. don't be scared, because like we thought about that. And I think that's it. So if you want more information about this, you can go to sheepdog.run to read the documentation. There are even other features. Like, for example, we pass to the function that you declare, we pass a signal that you can pass to fetch to actually abort your fetch when you cancel a task. We have a link function so that you can like link your task to a parent task. We also automatically attach to the Svelte component that is invoked in, so that if the component is unmounted, you get to cancel the task. So like there are a lot of features, but like this talk was already too long, and sorry for talking too long. But you can go to sheepdog.run or scan the QR code if you want to read the documentation. There are also some very useful examples. You can also find the GitHub repository at mainmatter/sheepdog, or you can like stay up to date with mainmatter by going to mainmatter.com. And I mean, we built this library specifically for Svelte because that's what we use, but we are planning to do this for like maybe a vanilla version of it so that you can use it in whoever framework you want. So thank you for listening and love you guys. I don't know. It's finished. So yeah.
Thank you, Paolo.
Let me actually, I can't even.
So
Hey.
we should have some questions. We should have some questions for you. We can put it back on the screen, can't we? Because it usually speaks on the screen.
Yeah, just maximize
This
it.
one, right? No.
This one.
This one.
This one.
That one.
No.
You point to that one.
Cancel.
Cancel.
one.
There we go.
That one.
Full
and then
screen,
switch it
Paolo.
over.
All right. Cool. I want to turn this one around, but you can't turn it. Okay. So, Paolo, thank you for that. Any questions? Right. There we go. Second mic.
Have you ever seen a front-end application which is offloading heavy workload to workers?
Yes. Like, I mean, like, we didn't build these applications specifically for that, but obviously, like, I also think, like, even like I have did some of this thing. Like, if you have some pretty heavy calculation, you can offload to web workers or to workers in general. Obviously, like the API for that is also pretty like finicky. Hi, Scott. It's also pretty finicky because like if you want to pass stuff around from workers to the main thread, you only can basically like you can't have shared memory. There are some like they are working, like the platform is evolving against with this thing, and this will definitely help. But yeah, like this is like, for example, you can't fetch for like if you need to fetch something from the web, for example, you can't really use a web worker for it.
I don't know why you can't use web worker to fetch from, but I'm not gonna ask.
Like,
I'll try to understand. Yes.
What I mean is you can probably I don't know if I can't remember if you have fetch inside a web worker. You probably can, but what I mean is that like if you need to fetch something that has synchronous data, like the async execution is inside the web worker, so you are offloading from the main thread. But this is kind of already working with await, so you can do it. I don't know, like I see web worker more about I need to do some heavy calculation, which are also like synchronous, like I don't know, some math, some pretty heavy math that I have to do, and I can't really like asynchronize that. I can put everything in an async function, but like that will execute synchronously and stuff like that. So I can put that in a web worker to execute it off the main thread. But
like find the best route on a map, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm shutting up. I'm talking too much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
We all had loads of fun playing with that. It was excellent. Thank you. This is the future of presentations. That everyone click a button. Mad,
I mean,
and then watch us break your computer. It was fantastic. Thank you.
yeah. I mean, I love that when I find this little thing to add to the presentation, and when I thought about that, I said, okay, that's the gimmick that I'm gonna use.
Thank you for sanitizing it as well. It ruined all my fun.
So yeah, I didn't announce it because I said, okay, let's not invite people to actually break it, but I'm actually using AI to detect if you use bad word and prevent toxic messages from the thing. Which, by the way, it was inspired by Wes Boss when like he sanitized. And by the way, like the code for the presentation is also open source. So if you go to my GitHub, you can get all the code for the presentation.
Show us your t-shirt, Paolo.
Sorry? Oh,
Show
yeah.
us
So yeah, my t-shirt is also from Syntax. But I mean, 1989 is my year. And also, most importantly, there's Svelte on it.
Nice. Okay, we had more questions. Back here. Will will come to you.
Hi, Paolo. Thanks for the interesting talk and really interesting library. I was curious if there are any kind of real world scenarios that you had encountered that inspired this library.
Yeah, as I've said, like a lot of my coworkers used to work with Ember. I mean, they're like still working with Ember, but now we are also working with Svelte. And in Ember, they have this library which is called Ember Concurrency. So, and it's basically like enabling you this kind of pattern in Ember. And when they started working with Svelte, they missed something similar because I think like the nice fact about this library is the fact that you have like everything is packed into a nice little nugget. Like you have the task, and inside the task, you have all the information that you may need for that task. So if it's running, the value of the last successful and stuff like that. So, and especially I think another big win of this library are exactly the task modifiers. So for example, I showed you like, let's say that you want to have, I don't know, an autocomplete input that the user is typing in and you are doing fetch requests to the server to get the list of values that you want to show into the UI. You probably want to debounce that, and again, you can probably do it with the bounce itself, but it's much nicer with this library. You can just pack the whole fetching to the server in one neat little function, and you get all you need. Like you get the debounce action for free. You can like keep it, or for example, another interesting usage could be uploading files, for example. So let's say that you allow people to drop a bunch of files, and you don't want to overwhelm your server with like 20 requests concurrently. So you can drop a bunch of file, and then you have a max queue of 3, and you will go over the first 3 files, and as soon as the first one finishes, it will go over the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Like building this kind of pattern, it's absolutely doable without the library, but it's much, much more complex. And with the library, it's just one keyword away. So
Hi, thank you very much for the talk. It's super insightful, really good. I was just wondering how this is sort of the interplay between this and streamed promises, because obviously when you await a stream promise, you sort of use the Svelte directive, and in the context of the task, you need to await within the task. So how does that work at all?
Yes. So I mean, this is more to like the task is more when you have to add client-side interactivity. Like, it's not about receiving data from the server, but it's more about I want to fetch some data when I'm already on the client. I actually never tried to do so but the point is, this function, the task function, the perform of the task function is a promise. So basically, you could, in theory, await using the block await a perform. Again, you actually give me a good idea. Like, I think I want to explore this a bit. Like, I want to see if there's some interesting pattern that can come up with mixing it with streaming promises and, like, I don't know, like getting the promise inside the task and awaiting the task. I don't know. But I want to try it because it's a very interesting like combination. So I want to try it out.
Thanks, Paolo.
Thank you, Paolo. Oh, look at that. What a show off.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. And yeah, Scott, this is the third time. So third time that I told, but I want to I want to come back because I will, like, my last presentation was live and it was sweet. I want to be back with you.
You're always welcome.
Yes, every time. We love you, Paolo. Thank you, mate.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Let's
You did it wrong. Right, go on, I'll do that.
Go
I'll
on.
sort that out.
Up next is Scott, who is also in charge of Windows. Come on, make it work. Make it work.
It's because it's all on here. Look. Right, there you go.
Cool.
So, thank you, Paolo. I'm going to take you away now. Bye. Right. Just leave it. Just leave the camera.
Do you think? Do you think?
Um,
Oh, he's over there. Look at him. Put your hand up. There we go. It's not working.
Yay! Right, whatever. Right.
All right. Scott's talk is Oh No SEO.
And I've got to find it. Oh, here we go. And that. Over there. No, that's for speaker notes. Amateur.
Let's see the window there, isn't it?
Right. I want to... how do you do presentations again? Right, let's get rid of this one. Off you go.
Yeah.
It's all right. I've done it once or twice before. Thank you, mate.
Okay.
Right. All right. So, apologies up front because I've not got any awesome clicky buttons in my presentation. Yes. Pardon? Oh yeah. Pro. Yeah, and there. Right. Cool. Right. Just been derailed now. Totally derailed. Okay. So, yeah, no clicky buttons. Sorry. No audience participation. I notice half the room is cleared out now. I've started talking. So, nervous laughter. Okay, cool. Right. So I want to talk about SEO and also want to get up my speaker notes. Right. So what's SEO got to do with Svelte? Not much, but taking it in like the same vein as Paolo, we're going to talk about a lot of things before we actually get to what I want to talk about. And again, just massive props to Paolo for such a good presentation. And this is the second time he's launched a new package. He did it the first time he spoke in 2023, Outverse, I think. Anyway, right. So let's go to the origin of this talk, which is there is no origin. this is something I do on a regular basis, and a lot of the stuff here is sort of based on my own personal experience. So, a disclaimer: if there's any SEO experts in the room, feel free to silently judge me while I talk and resent me. But this is all my own personal experience and what I've learnt along the way. So, yeah. Disclaimer: this isn't professional advice, and I'm not held legally responsible if you trash your ranking for some of the stuff I'm saying here. A lot of this is based off of my blog, which is doing all right for people visiting it. We'll come on to that later, but all the opinions and examples I'll be using are from this site. So let's talk about me. My name's Scott. I'm an engineering team lead at a company called ExtendOps. We do business process outsourcing for large clients. We work with AI agents, and we've got a very popular product with them at the moment. Ask Willow about the code base later. She'll be happy to talk about it with you. I'm a dad. I'm a cat dad, and I forgot to put in cat pictures. Yeah, sorry. It's the second time I've done it and forgot to put in cat pictures. Come and ask me later. I've got tons on my phone. Not many of my actual daughter, though. As a lie, I love you, darling. Anyway, so awesome community here. And you can see my @username there, Spencer's10. You'd find me on most of the popular platforms, GitHub, but not what I want to talk about right now, which is Blue Sky, because on Blue Sky, my username is my domain name, scottspencer.dev. And there's a very good community going with Svelte. This starter pack here is a lot of the maintainers, a lot of the people in this room, if you're on Blue Sky. Like, no, I can't pick out anyone, but there are a lot of people. Andrew, you're on Blue Sky. You're not in the pack. I'll put you in there. Have I put you in there?
No, because I'm useless in that.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of people in there. There's also a really active WhatsApp group. So if you like WhatsApp, speak to either myself or Willow about joining that. Lots of stuff going on in there. Very interesting things indeed. Again, I've already done the donations welcome. Wow, that screen updated really slowly. So if you want to donate, I'll donate it with the camera out, so that's fine. Let's talk about SEO. So this is so Rich Harris did a talk a couple of like last week, I think, where he said do the story of me, the story of us, and story of now. So this is the story of us, or what is SEO? Search engine optimization. It means you are making your site do things to game the system, essentially. We all have to pander to the SEO gods, Google, essentially. And I don't like it, but I have to play the game. But it's not optimization, it's manipulation. You are you're trying to game the system. You're trying to get up those rankings to be the person at the top. Everyone remember the keywords meta tag in the head component? Keywords were the thing. They would get stuffed in every page on everything. And Google were like, oh, hang on a minute. Everyone's getting to the top of the search rankings because they've got all these keywords in their site. So they put an end to that. So the thing is, everyone's trying to game the system, and this is how you play the game. A lot of the time on like the main sites, Google devs or whatever it is for SEO, they will say make good content. Content is king. A lot of places will say that, and I'd agree. If you've got good content on your site, people are going to enjoy it, they're going to share it. But that doesn't work for SEO. You could have the best content out there. If you can't find it in the search engines, no one's going to see it. So there is like a sort of a game you've got to play with that. Hello social media, check out my new post, sort of stuff. So it's good for the users. People don't want to visit your site and read just drivel, churned out by your LLM of choice at the time. But for search engines, it's all about signals, and a search engine can't really say this is good content or this isn't good content. It takes it from various other sources, like the intent of the search. So like specifically, like for the stuff I've used in the past, I've been very specific about the title on the blog post, and that's like a high intent search. People are going to say, well, how do I, what's that example there? How do I set up cursor for my Windows subsystem for Linux? So that's going to get searched, and it will, if there's not a lot of competition, it will, surface up in the results for that. And going back to, content is king, wherever that is. If people enjoy that content, find it useful, they're going to share it elsewhere. They're going to share it on, link aggregator sites like Reddit. So Reddit's a good example, which I'll be using later. So let's go back to high intent. When it's shared to other sites with, other people, someone might have a site themselves which they also blog on, and they go, this was really good, this really helped me. They will link back to your site. That gives your site a bit of authority. And to me, this is like really where it all is. It's in people linking back to your site from wherever. But it doesn't happen overnight. And I was thinking about the sort of feedback loop with SEO. The feedback loop is non-existent. I mean, you do something and you have to wait like 2 or 3 weeks to get a result. So I'm not going to say it's futile, because there's many a company out there who will, help you get to the top of the Google search pages. I'm not at liberty to say, how successful these companies are. There is a thing called a domain rating. So if you use something like ahrefs.com, I use the free service because I don't have, I think it's like £120 a month to spend on that service, and it does just fine for what I need it for, which is essentially looking at a domain rating. So you get given these numbers. 0 to 20 is a new website. 20 to 40 is established. I'm in the 40 to 60 range, which means you're well established, which means other people will see that and they'll want to get in on action. They'll ask you to guest post on your site. Now, I get contacted quite a lot with these sort of requests, and I was going to go sort of searching through my inbox, but I actually found 2 examples in the morning when I was making these slides yesterday. So as I was putting these together, I went to my inbox and there was 2 in there. We're going to get you to the top of the search rankings, guest posts, insertions, stuff like that. So yeah, two very good examples, and they are super generic, and this is like what you see all the time. Anyway, let's move on from that. Okay, I better turn Discord off. Sorry, whoever that was. Can't talk now. So let me quit that. Cool. So this is the sort of standard list of tasks a SEO agency will do for you on your site. Now, I bet a lot of you are looking at these and thinking, Jesus Christ, I could just do all that myself. And what I'm going to be talking about over the next slides is pretty much this. essentially, like the refined list is just, make sure stuff isn't broken, and make good content. So guest content, it depends, obviously, but there's only so far it can take you. And again, this comes back to trying to establish authority. And apologies, but I'm just going to stick this in here because I've got to skip past it. But this again links back to authority, and people will just pay for reviews, and the vast majority of them, I will say, are fake. So yeah, I'm salty. Yeah, I'm salty about this. It's just everyone's just looking at me blank faced. It's the truth though. Again, it comes back to signals, and how your product you want to sell, or something else you want to sell via is promoted. All comes back to signals, and at the moment, search engines don't read your post. They will scan through the hierarchy of your site and the content on there, but they won't say, that was a good read, let's boost it. Doesn't work like that. It's all based on the signals. So that's how it works at the moment. I want to talk about it. Alvin's not here, right? I want to talk about this. So the future of SEO. So at the moment, everyone's gaming the system. You've got people who are asking for backlinks to your site to, boost their site, stuff like that. So that's how it works currently. But with all the tools we've got now, Perplexity AI, all these models which have sucked up the entirety of the internet, people are more and more looking towards these models, like especially Perplexity. It's just like the AI Google. And this is where sort of dataset poisoning comes in. So dataset poisoning would be, this crappy project, this crappy product, I want to sell it, but how do I do that? Well, I'll give it some fake reviews and say it's really good. It all gets sucked up into a data set somewhere. Someone will ask a question further down the line, and it'll be fantastic. So I asked this question on Blue Sky the other day, and Alvin replied with this, and then I remembered some of these other AI summaries. So this one's funny. Obviously, someone has polluted a data set here. I think this was around the time when Google bought the rights to the Reddit data. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but essentially, people are just going in and just adding any crap to pollute this information, and it's terrible. So there's some good ones on here. Did cavemen go bald? Used to blind predators. Excellent. I'll take that. I mean, I wasn't there at the time, so I don't know. There's some really good nutrition, I guess. One small rock a day. Fantastic. This is absolutely tragic, and this should have just gone straight away. But this is where we are with this sort of stuff. It's not good. Not going to dwell on that. This is my favorite one. So if any of the guys here are reassured by this message, there's clinics, but this isn't how it works. Okay. Get help. Anyway, yeah, thanks to Alvin for sort of sending me down this little rabbit hole here. Yeah, so AI is going great, isn't it? AI is going great. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. Let me just check the time. I'm doing all right. Not too bad. So, is SEO an afterthought when you're building your Svelte app? So, this is what we can do as developers. So, SEO is not my job, right? Most people will say that. But when it comes to performance, it is. thankfully, with Svelte Kit, the tooling we have, we are very lucky. You'd be hard pushed to make a badly performing website, especially with stuff like, you know, what Paolo's bringing out. You'd have to try pretty hard, I think, to make something perform badly. But you know, we want to make it easier for the bots to crawl our sites. So this is where things like robots.txt comes in. So robots.txt is an instruction to the crawlers. Google, what's it called? I haven't put in the search engines here. So this is my robots.txt from my site. And essentially I'm saying, user agent, yeah, everyone, search my site, do it. And then I'm pointing to the sitemap here. So this is what you can do if you don't have your site registered with Google Search Console. Let's say you can say, this is where the sitemap is. This is where you find out information. And the allow is just saying, yep, all the bots. You'll notice, hang on, let's just, yeah, there we go. Right, you'll notice in the comments there, I did have some specific disavow rules where I didn't want the bots crawling some endpoints. And on the endpoints, I had like, what is it? No robots don't crawl or something. I've got the slide, X robots tag, no index, no follow. I've got it in the next slide, I can see it. If you also put that on your endpoint and in the robots.txt file, Google's like, okay, I'm just going to ignore both because it's conflicting, even though they both say exactly the same thing. So just so you know, if you've got like a no follow on your endpoint or wherever it is, just leave it there and then don't worry about the robots.txt. And also, you might have noticed the syntax highlighting there. That was like literally a couple of hours playing about with Claude, I think, at the time, and just making a VS Code extension to make it look pretty, because I look at these quite a bit and that looks a lot nicer than that. You can get that on the VS Code store. Anyway, sitemap. So having a sitemap, there's probably Svelte Kit packages to do this. I just do it with the node file system, just loop through everything that's in a directory and then format it as XML. I don't actually have an example because I'm terrible at doing that, and it wouldn't fit on a slide anyway. You can go check out my site on GitHub. There's an endpoint, which is sitemap.xml, and in there, it will just loop through that, and it will be pre-rendered endpoint. So all of the robots, when they see it, they can just slurp it up and start adding that information to their data sets. Anyway, so what else can help? This is just like a nothing couple of slides. Semantic markup. And it's tiny on this screen here, so no one can see this, but no div soup. Don't have div soup, and have semantic stuff which your the site can sort of make sense of and understand what it's crawling through. I'm just going to get off of that because it looks terrible. Okay, so how you can do this with Svelte? There's a special Svelte :head component, and in this you can add in all the meta tags you want. And it's good. You can do that for every page on your site and then add in specific things for each one. But I didn't want to do that, so I made it into a package. So we'll come on to that. But just before we do that, I do have previous in making SEO components. So I've got previous with this. And I'm really winning the high intent search game there with React SEO component. That's a good one. You'll see the irony when it comes on to the next project, which I just had to prove I was doing some work here. So this was 2 years ago when I started the project, and the project is called Svelte. So again, the irony, I know, who's going to search for Svelte? To my mind, this was Svelte plus head equals feed. I thought I was a genius, but obviously no one's fucking searching for that. Excuse my language. I mentioned it to Puru, and he's like, "This is such a fun name. It feels like you're making mead, but it's for helmet, which is like less exciting." But he made it sound good, so I put a beer emoji on the end of it. Now it's awesome. So at the time, 2 years ago, this was very much like that React component. It just dealt with the essential meta tags for what you'd need for Google, like a canonical tag, the other tags that go with that, which I can't remember right now, stuff for Facebook and Twitter, and for displaying like the open graph images. And at the time, I was very happy with that. It stayed like that for a very long time, and I used it in my projects, no problem. That was until I saw this post from Rodney Lab. So who searches Svelte stuff on the internet? You must have seen Rodney, right? No, okay, right. Rodney, I love you, mate. Your content is ace. So let's just take a look at this post he did, which was about JSON LD schema stuff, right? And I saw this, and you know, you can get like your high-level rich text result, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he showed like this bit where you get your this is like an FAQ where it'll go through the steps, and that was awesome. I didn't know you could do that with Svelte, and I asked Rodney about this, and he said, yeah, it's just you know, Jesus, what's it called? No, the open framework, schema.org. Panic. Schema.org, where all of this stuff is defined. And I went around and did this very long blog post. And I just want to show you some of the stuff from here. This was like basically my bad mistakes. So I had the component already, and I decided I was going to incorporate both the head stuff and also the schema.org stuff. And I spent literally like months on just going through this. And at the top, hang on, I've got to change this to Halloween. Right. Good. Right. I spent months like coming up with all of the possible open graph types you would, the schema.org types, sorry, that you would want to have in a component. And I just twisted myself in absolute knots trying to get this done right. Like, so I wanted to come away from having like this one head component where you're passing all the stuff in and just like have one config. That was great. That stayed. But like the stupid thing was, if I wanted to do some SEO config and I wanted to have in, let's say, some publisher information and some article information, and then you have to put in the author stuff, and then, you know, the headline, and then you have to come to the breadcrumbs, and that's its own function. And in the end, I was like, why am I'm not going to have this on every page I'm using it. Why am I doing this? This is madness. So I came across a post from a Svelte contributor called Okazuma, and you can see Okazuma is winning the high intent search game there, which is Svelte meta tags. So fair play to him. And I saw this, had a look at it, had a look at the project, and I saw he was doing a like a head component and a JSON LD component separate. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know, you know, it didn't occur to me that I could do this. And it's like, yeah, simple. And, you know, true OSS style, I said, can I steal it? And he said, please steal it. So I did. So now I've just got two components. If I want to have head information, it goes in the head component. If I want to have schema.org information, it goes in its own config somewhere. And that also means that a lot of that schema.org stuff can just be abstracted away somewhere and left there. These examples, that's a straightforward one for the head, where you just have the title, description, and URL. So the URL in this instance here, that's like the canonical, which will get added. And I was happy with that. And I was so happy with it, I put it in light theme as well. What's the best one? The dark or the light theme for everyone? Dark. Okay, cool. No one's hating on the font at the moment, so that's fine. I don't care if you don't like it or not. I like it. Okay, so we are talking about schema.org props. So essentially, this was just jacked from Okuzuma's project. I mean, not literally copy paste, but you know, a lot of the stuff, the way he did it, I loved it. He actually used I can't remember the actual type package, but there's a type package from Google for the rich text results, and is it in here? Hang on, we can look at this stuff again. Schema.org type, yeah, schema.org, schema DTS. So this is just the types package. So essentially, now I can just open up my component. Oh my God, what has happened? Okay, let's go back here. So essentially, I can start stuffing stuff into the schema.org props type here, or object, and I'll get you know, type hints on the actual JSON LD markup I'm adding here. And this is just extensible, so I can add in, you know, not just a type for a blog post, but I can also put in stuff for breadcrumbs, author information, and stuff like that. So this makes it a lot more flexible for how I want to use it. And it just means, you know, a lot of stuff which is repeated can just be abstracted away and left in a you know, a config somewhere. Like for the schema.org props, there's like one option. Hang on, let's go back to the SEO config. There's a few options to add in here. Unfortunately, because this is like this isn't done on like the hooks side of it. It's going to be in the head. I can't do anything dynamically with that. So there's language libraries which you can use for that sort of thing. I'll just run out of talent when it comes to that part. So sorry, not sorry. It's fine for what I want to use it for. It takes in a load of other stuff as well. This stuff here, it's broken on Blue Sky for some reason, but nowhere else. So I need to sort out my BS later, but not at the moment. And that's it. My mouse has stopped working. Here we go. No, I can't scroll anymore. Right, let's close that. No, it's not even closing. It's not even closing the window anymore. Let's try and get that tab back. No. Oh dear. Let's just go panic. Hang on. So I've literally got to open up my slide deck to show you the last slide on my slide deck. Oh boy. Right. Pardon? Oh, it's kept my place. Brilliant. Sorry about it, everyone. But it's like literally, that's it. There's a question. Sorry. Let's go back here.
Were you seriously bashing LLMs? Because like if you ask them general questions, they have lots of bad data and they might answer wrongly. But if you ask them technical questions, like what you have on your blog, which as I understand is about WSL, then they are great in answering the question. So I completely didn't understand the LLMs part. And this is, they are extremely useful and they can completely change your blog because people will be, if you want to know my experience, a month ago I got access to Gemini Advanced and I'm working as teaching assistant answering students' questions, 50 of them per day. I started to put all the questions to Gemini Advanced. I know sometimes it's hallucinating, but it's giving me amazingly good answers. So instead of bashing them, how will they change your blog? Because there will be less clicks. If people just search for it, they'll be getting answers from LLMs. And in Gemini and in Periplex, how do we call it? You get links at the bottom. So did you check LLMs SEO to have you to make sure that, for example, when Gemini finds something, you will link your blog at the bottom?
Oh, I have found my blog posts in Perplexity. It is great. So
you are not bashing LLMs?
Absolutely. I use LLMs every day, and it's part of my workflow at work. So it's great. It's great for doing tasks. So absolutely, it's great in some regards, but it's still absolutely dog crap in other areas as well. So you know, I have to work with it. You know, I wouldn't say I'm forced to, but I do like using it. So when I was bashing it, don't you think that people, you know, if they've got a cockroach living in their penis, don't you think that's a valid answer?
I cannot imagine anybody who would Google a question like this. I think it was all just a joke. So it's hard for me to answer because anybody would Google it is too far different, thinking differently than the way we think. Yes,
No, that's fine. And yeah, totally. I mean, agree with your opinion. It is great in certain regards. Yeah. So, I mean, do you want me to apologize for making fun of it?
No. I was just wondering, asking for clarification. And as
I use it daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great tool, and we use it to do everything at work. So I'm, you know, it's not bad, but you know, people say it's only going to get better from now. And they've been saying that for 3 years. So, you know, I think I am, you know, justified to make fun of it.
Yes. No. I was just asking for clarification.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's a talk.
Yes. Is financial incentive important part of your running your blog? No,
Absolutely not. No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not about AI though. Seriously.
You had a cursor?
Hey Scott, thanks for the talk. I was just wondering what difference you found in sort of like SEO for your blog after you introduced the schema or part to.
I mean, it's showing breadcrumbs now on the Google God, what's it called? Google Search Console. So it's like, well done, you've got breadcrumbs. That's what. That's it. I also use something called Index Now, which I think is used by Bing. And essentially, you just get like a hash and you put it in your well-known, and then you just call the API and say index this now, and it does it for you. So that runs every, I don't know, 15 minutes now. Not that I post a blog every 15 minutes, but it will just go and index it. I think it's Bing only, and like the Bing-like ones. So DuckDuckGo, I guess. So it will show up in there. And I have seen an increase from Bing and DuckDuckGo since doing that. So, but you know, I'm take it with a grain of salt. But I've done loads of stuff with it,
Yeah, cool.
and the feedback loop is terrible. So you're waiting for weeks on end to see any sort of results. Sorry. Oh, loads of questions.
Cool. So from well, first off, awesome talk. I learned heaps, and I'm actually going to try and use your package in my next blog post because I do use Svelte for it. So it looks like you can go quite you can go quite granular with the data you pass through. Like, how long does it take you to create all of the schema data for a single blog post? And would you say it's worth the time and effort?
I mean, just do it once. So if you've got like your schema.org schema for a blog post, you just put it in a config somewhere, and then you just reuse that config. Like for the breadcrumbs, that's just a loop. Like it's predefined, so you've got the 3 parts of the route where it goes, and then like you just passed in the blog post title. So that's straightforward. A lot of the stuff is reused. So like title, URL, description, and that stuff just gets reused through the schema as well. So once you do it once, and like have I got? I don't think I can show it to you, or can I? No, because it's going to want to install VS Code updates, and it'll just take forever. So we're looking at a loading screen. But there's a lot of config up front. But you just have it in a util file somewhere. You can just import it. And like I've done breadcrumbs at the moment, but then like there's FAQs, questions and answers, which just seem like FAQ to me. A lot of like the rich text results, when you actually see them come in, you're like, this is great. But again, it's just how much of it you want to do. And that's why I did that, where you can just add in like an object rather than like what I was trying to do before, which was just like trying to think of every situation someone might want to use it for, which just like I just type myself up in knots for months trying to do that. So yeah, thanks to Kazuma and like him, just like it was like a light bulb moment where I just thought I could just pass in an object and be done with it. So that was great. But yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Go on.
Right. So I wanted to check.
Right, rolling your sleeves up. Seriously,
no, I wanted to check essentially how does the sort of schema.org component bit that you set up differs from the sort of JSON LD part that Svelte meta tags use? Because like
it's just a big JSON object. So I had fun with Simon from the core team talking about this, having to actually like escape it to begin with was, oh my god, this is I don't use this computer a lot. Oh my god, no, not on stream. Are you kidding me? God. Can I not? I could have sworn I did this. There we go. So where was I going with this? Oh yeah, about actually injecting the JSON into the site. I had like a couple of discussions with. Hang on, let's just take a look at it. Just go to here, and then LD JSON.
You're not search.
Okay. Where is it? We're trying to find it. Okay.
JSON plus LD.
LD plus LD. JSON plus LD. Right, there we go.
No.
Nope. Right, where is it? I have. Right. Right, let's go to a post, and then let's do it on here. It's got to be on here. It's got to be. You can see it here. Look, here we go. So this was fun trying to get all this inserted into into the head of the project. Because it has to be like in a script tag. Sorry, everyone watching on stream. It's terrible. So you have to sort of escape the word script. You just have to sort of put it into a hard-coded string and then inject it with, this is a breadcrumb, and I think that's it. Apart from like author information, and all of that gets added in by the component. But you can see all of this nice comments here. This was initially fun trying to get around this because it was inserting it in the actual JSON as well. That's since been fixed. I can't remember what the actual question was now.
Essentially, how does it differ from Svelte meta tags that you?
Oh, the meta tags. The meta tags
Yeah,
are like, these. Hang on, let's find canonical. Canonical. I mean, that's a meta tag. We have the relationship, and then like the actual, origin of the post. Whereas the JSON LD is just like, bleh. It's just like a big JSON object.
Data description language.
Yeah, it's just how you describe the information to search engines.
Structures. What are these stuff?
JSON linked data. That's what the LD is for, I guess. Cool. Any other questions? So it's in. God. Where is it? Speed. There we go. Again, winning at the SEO high intent searches there. Cool. Anyone else? Awesome. Right. Thanks. And I will end. Anthony. Don't worry. I've got it, mate. So, all right. Give me a round of applause. Thank you.